Okay, so what we're going to look at now is an example of a defining moment essay. This here is an example from NPR. It's called A Priceless Lesson in Humility. You started your lesson on Canvas. I asked you to look at it there. It is from your textbook. It's on pages 74 and 75, and you have the online link for it in Canvas. And right here is where you would click to listen to the audio if you wanted to listen to it while you read it as well. So the reason that I want to look at this is because this is a short yet effective example of a defining moment essay. In this essay here, the author does all of the things that we just reviewed in the parts of the essay lecture that you just finished listening to here. So I want to point it out and work our way through these different elements of the essay so that you can be sure to be able to identify them in an example here. So, as you know, the first thing that you need to do when you are writing a personal narrative is have your introductory section. You're going to start with some background or context. And so what you see here in this first paragraph is the background and context that the author provides. He tells us when and where this incident took place, what exactly he was doing in Washington, D.C., and he even gives us a hint here about what's to come, where he talks about the citizens on the street that he had seen, unfortunate ones like the panhandlers and the homeless folks. That's a little hint, a little foreshadowing of what's to come in the essay that follows. So you'll see in this next paragraph then here, these next two paragraphs, this is the body of his essay. Now remember, this is a short, abbreviated example of what I'm expecting you guys to turn in. But this is his defining moment. This is the moment. This woman walks up to him and asks him for help. He assumes that she is a beggar and he's annoyed by her, and he tries to give her change to get her out of his way, essentially. And in doing so, he has his defining moment, his epiphany. He realizes that by making these assumptions about her, that he acted with prejudice and he judged her simply for what he assumed she had to be. So that's his defining moment. You'll see here as he continues to work through that this here is essentially his thesis statement. This is the purpose for telling us his story. This incident reawakened his core belief. It reaffirmed that he believes in humility, even though he had lost it for a moment. Okay? Now, what you will see in the rest of the essay here is his conclusion section. And this is where he goes on to reflect about the lesson that he learned. He gives us some more of his background and telling us where he came from and the fact that he had been an immigrant and the stereotypes that people had treated him with, some of the jobs that he had had and how people looked down upon him because they had made assumptions with him, and how all of this connected back to the significance, to that epiphany that he had when he realized that he had misjudged this blind woman on the street for being a beggar, when in fact all she simply was needing was some help because she wasn't sure where to go. So he reflects on the significance, he tells us what he learned, and he concludes by telling us again how this continues impacting him, that from this point forward she has reminded him of his belief in humility and to always keep his eyes and his heart open. This very last line here is what I call sort of his final thought. Oops. It's kind of like his Jerry Springer moment, and it's his final thought where he brings it back to the focus of the story. As opposed to reflecting on the significance as he had done in the previous three paragraphs, he brings it back by saying he helped that lady to the post office, and in writing this essay, he hopes to thank her for the priceless lesson. So he ties it back to the focus of the essay and leaves the essay with a sense of closure for the reader. Now, remember that this essay does have all of the elements that I am expecting to see in your essays as you continue to work on and develop your defining moment personal narratives, but this is an abbreviated version, so I anticipate that your essays will be a little bit longer than the example that we see here.